friends, and welcome to a very special episode. So today, instead of the normal fossil hunting that I normally post on YouTube, I'm going to show you my collection. Yay! Well, the reason for my excitement is because I keep receiving a lot of requests to show you my collection, and I promised some of you guys that I will show you the collection. I was promising this in the beginning of this year, and I didn't have time to do the video that you are seeing right now. So I just don't want to show you the fossil collection that I have. I want to talk about some fossils that are in my collection that are kind of special to me, because in the beginnings that I did this hobby of mine, I didn't do any videos. I just took some pictures and didn't do any videos. But some of them that are in here, well, some of them you already see that on YouTube for the videos that I did, but the earliest ones you didn't see anything, and there are a few over here that have quite an interesting story. So if you noticed, it's hard not to notice, my main collection are gastropods. It's because the area where I live is, this is a very common fossil in this area over here. For some of you guys might be ammonites. Ammonites in this area are very rare, so for me are gastropods. Well, the reason why I do this kind of a hobby, that's another different story, but let me show you some of my fossils that I have in here. And I'm going to start with this bottom shelf, in the bottom shelf I have the largest gastropods that I ever found. So I have this one over here. Well, some of you guys might not like this fossil over here, but it's also a large gastropod. And well, in the beginning I didn't know a lot of stuff. I still don't know a lot of stuff about fossils, but I keep learning every time I talk to you guys. But in the beginnings I think that the proper way to present fossil was to clean the fossil by all means necessary, and sometimes I did a pretty awful job. But this one over here, well, this fossil was this was in the middle of a path, and by the time that I must have passed by that trail more or less I don't know 100 times, and more people must have passed in there, and I believe almost every person that passed in there must have stomped this fossil, and just this part over here was showing this top. And one time I looked down and I see some round bit, and I decided to excavate, and I start to excavate, and this come out. So it's still pretty rough. I didn't remove anything that are in here, as you can see, and as you can see there's a lot of shells attached to it. So I left it just like that because these are a fossil that I found a couple of years ago, but it wasn't one of my first ones. So the first ones that I found, I try to remove everything, and sometimes the things don't work as well as I thought it will. So this other one over here, wow, this is probably the biggest gastropod that I have. For some of you guys, you might look at this and say, wow, what an awful job, and you're right, this was an awful job with the Dremel, and it was marked over here. But I tried to remove everything of the matrix that the fossil had, and this fossil has a pretty odd story, because the day that I found it, it was just like that, in the middle of a path. It must have rolled down the hill, and it was like that. And the day that I found this fossil, in the middle of the forest, I found a dog, an abandoned dog. And well, it was quite a story. The dog followed me home, and I was thinking about adopting the dog, but fortunately, so a neighbor of mine decided to adopt him, and he's still over there. I don't remember the name, but this rock, the day that I found this rock, I managed to bring an abandoned dog to a new home, and this fossil remembers me of that. I don't know who was the person that left him and abandoned him in the middle of the forest, but boo for you guys. Well, these other ones that I have in the bottom over here, these other ones, you might have think, whoa, what an ugly fossil. Indeed, it is an ugly fossil, but this one was very camouflage. It looks like a cinnamon roll, a large one, and it was camouflage, and the day that I found it was so hot, and it was just like that. You almost cannot see anything, and until today I don't know how was I able to see this fossil in the middle of all of that grass. And well, these fossils are a problem to bring home, because I put my fossils in the backpack, and sometimes the weight, if I am not careful, can damage your bag in the next day. So the other ones that I have here, so they are well, they have different stories. This other one that I have in here, I did an awful job. I am a bit ashamed of what I did in this fossil, well, but this was the early ones. This other one that I have here, it's pretty untouched. I didn't remove anything that the fossil had. So in this side you can see pieces of oysters attached to the inner mole of the shell, so it's still like it's supposed to be. So well, I learned something. So for me, the best way to clean a fossil is with water. So don't with lemons and Dremels and so on, don't do that, because you probably will damage the fossil. So that other one that are in here, whoa. Well guys, the lighting conditions inside my home are not the best, but you can still see that this other one has something glowing over there. So it has some, I believe, some calcite. Well, the day that I found this guy over here was very unusual, because the day before it was raining, and this was inside of a rock, and I have a pretty hard time to remove this guy from the rock. And as soon as I removed this guy, I noticed that next to this one it was another one, just like in the side, in the same rock. It's still in here. And this, well, I want to show you this outside, because it has some pretty interesting crystals over there. I don't know if you can see it, but well, this was a very fortunate day for me, despite the fact that I managed to break the tip of the first spiral, but I managed to glue them back on, so pretty cool. So the day that I found this one, well, as you can guess, I have these two in my backpack, and it was awful to bring them home, because I was about 9 kilometers away from my house, and it was a nightmare. And if it wasn't enough, my shoes with the rain, and I had an old shoes, start to disintegrate, and I have to improvise with a piece of rope that was on the side of the road, and I have to tie my shoes with that piece of rope or piece of wire. It was a piece of rubber wire, and I arrived home looking like some Chinese. It was pretty unusual, because every person in the street that crosses with my path, look at me and say, well, this guy is crazy. But well, they are not far from the truth. Okay guys, well, there are plenty of gastropods. This one over here was in a slope. I kind of like this one because it has some, I believe, traces of some piece of worm that was in here, and it's pretty cool. I have to improve my lighting conditions inside of my little office over here. I just only have these shelves. I don't have any more shelves with fossils, because the space in my house is limited, so I cannot have all the fossils that I want in here, or else I would end up with the room full of fossils. But these ones are the best. So this other one that are in here, this one also has kind of a funny story, because this fellow over here, I found this one inside of a wall that was in ruins. So I just spot something round. I was traveling along, and I saw the wall that was in ruins, and I see something a bit round, and I started to try to remove it, and it was just like that. And it's very, very hard to find one with the last spiral complete. So in here it's very, very rare. So this one is quite special for that. So let me put it over here. Okay, so I have a couple more in here. So this other one, you can see this in my recent movies, and I have this other one over here that for me it's also special, because this other one, as you can see, it's a gastropod on this side, and you can see this, and you can see some pretty awful job of me try to remove the matrix, and you see this gastropod like that. But on this side it has another one attached to it, so they are twins. As you can see, twins. And the rock is kind of strange, it's kind of a red rock. So this one is pretty special, and it was only showing a little bit of this part in the middle of the ground. Now the location where I picked up this fossil is gone, because a road passes through. So all the fossils that were in there, forget it. You have to build another road or remove the road that is in there, because you cannot discover any more in there. So for some of you guys that say, oh, you are damaging the nature, you are removing the fossils, well, you are right in one part. In the other part, sometimes people that are constructing stuff don't even care about this, and they build and they destroy this. For at least these ones were saved and are in here. So I know that it's a pretty controversial subject, but I think that if I one day found something that is very relevant, I will not pick it up. I would contact the authorities. But these ones, I believe it's pretty shame sometimes what they did in construction. They don't notify anybody. They just build, and whatever is there is there. So this other one is probably the oldest fossils that I have. This one was not found by me. This was found by my grandfather, and my grandfather worked in the construction of the subway here in Portugal. And I believe when they are constructing the subway, they found a couple of fossils, and he kept this one. I believe this one was found more or less in 1965, 70s, more or less like that. So this one is the oldest one that I have, and it was found by my granddaddy. And this other one that is in here, it's also one of the first. So you know that the fossil hunting mania started earlier. So this other one was found by me and my father when I was more or less 12. It rolled down the hill, and my father found it, and I bring it home, and it was in my attic for I don't know how many years, until I decided to put it over here, because it's quite special. It doesn't show anything relevant like the other ones, but for me it's quite special, because it was one of the first ones that I found with my father, and this one is remembers my grandfather. So well, you probably know that I like this, because it's an habit of my family to pick up some strange rocks. So this other shelf that are in here are more recently found fossils that are most of them on my YouTube videos. So this other one, I believe it's the most complete one that I have. It has a kind of strange name, Harpagodes incertus, the Latin name, I believe. So these other ones that are in here are almost every one of them Harpagodes incertus, I believe, because I don't have certain of that, but I believe they are the same. I have a shell over here, I didn't have any place to put it. It's not a shell, it's an inner mold of the shell. I don't know the specific name of this other one that are in here. This doesn't have a very good story because I found it in a slope. I didn't have any pictures of that, but well, I put it over here. Maybe one day I could found something quite So I was talking about these other ones that are in here. So these other ones are the big version of the Arpagodes incertus, but I have these smaller ones that I believe they are the juvenile of Arpagodes incertus, and I think that because they exhibit some traces that are similar to that ones over there, and one of the traces that they exhibit is these lines, and they were found in exactly the same area that I found those. So most of them were found, I believe, all in the same area of these other ones over here. The only one that I didn't found in the same area was this one, and you notice that the rock is pretty white, but the shape by itself, I believe it's the same. So I believe they are all of the same species. And those other ones that are in the bottom, I forgot to talk about them because these other ones, well, I cannot seem to remove these ones over here with just one hand. These other ones are, well, are kind of special because they are mainly made by some sort of marble reddish color, and it have some lines over here. I don't know if caused by erosion or caused by some sort of bug that eats the inside of the shell, but they are quite nice. They were found in the same location, but in the creek. Oh, sorry guys, there was a light that fell off. Sorry, technical problems. Okay, enough about gastropods, but you still have this other shelf over here. So these are mainly bivalves that I collect during the years that I do this. This other one you already probably saw in plenty of my movies. Well, this other one was stuck in the hill like that, so I just saw this round bit. Again, I discovered this when after an hard rain, so it's pretty good to find fossils after a rain. But at home I tried to remove some piece of matrix, and this bit fell off, and you can clearly see that it's full of little crystals. I believe calcite, not quartz, because they can scratch easily with my fingernail. But this other one was pretty nice to find. So after that I found another one that is in here. One of these days I received a suggestion. The next time that I found one of these, try to cut in half to see if there is any crystals inside. Well, I will probably do that, but I have to I have to do this in a different video. So these are just some cuculeus recents that I found. I have some gastropods in here that don't fit in the Arpagodes incertus. I believe this is some sort of strombush. I don't know what kind of species, but the shell it's a bit different, so I put it over here. Sometimes they are pretty eclectic and dispersed because I don't have much room to put them. So this other one, it's also a bivalve, and it's filled with little crystals over there, so I put it over here because I believe it still has something attached to the bottom. As you can see here, I put some varnish because it's all this type of rock with the time starts to dissolve, and there is dust everywhere, so I put some varnish. I know that it's not good, but this one was necessary. So it's pretty unusual because I believe it's attached to the bottom of the sea by this foot. I don't know if that is true, but and on this side we can see clearly a sign of some trace worm, or maybe some kind of wood. I don't know. Belemite it's not, because it's not elongated. So it's pretty cool, these other ones. So we have some large shells over here. You already saw this on some of my movies. So I will try to put some description in the video where the fossils were found and in which movie, so if you want to take a look. So this other shelf over here, well, these gastropods were found almost in the same area. Well, I have a video that talks about it. So, well, I just want to say that some of them might look similar, but other ones have characteristics. Let me see if I can find one. Well, this one is quite round, but there is another ones that have some sort of line over here in the shell, and they almost look like, so this other one, as you can see, it has some sort of a groove over here, see? So it almost looks like the same species, but I guess, I don't know if this is the gender or if it's a different species, but the other ones don't have. So this other one doesn't have that groove, which is unusual because it looks like the same type of gastropod, and there are cases in here, so this doesn't have the groove also. Let me see if I can, well, now I cannot seem to find anyone with the groove complete. Oh, this other one, you can still see that groove, see? Okay, these are the little gastropods that I found. So you can see this on one of my YouTube videos. So these other ones I found in the beginning when I started to do my fossil huntings. These other ones, they are shells, but I believe they are some sort of shells that were attached by this beak over here. In the beginning I thought that it was a pretty good idea to varnish the fossils. Now I think it's awful to varnish the fossils because the varnish tends to put the fossil a little bit more yellow with the time, and it loses a lot of the features of the rock that composed the fossil. So this was my first mistakes. So this other one that I have in here, it's still attached to the rock or the matrix by, I believe, the beak. So it was just like that in the bottom of the sea floor or even buried. And this other one has, as you can see, it has some lines over here. I don't know if this is parasites or some sort of algae that were attached to the fossil. So pretty nice. So this other one is in here. This is a pinna bivalve. I have a video of this when I found this. So I just have this piece of shell, the other is the mold. So I believe this were attached like that in the bottom of the sea. So I have some spines of sea urchin. These other ones are in here because they are way different than the normal ones that I found. They have a few, let me see if I put the camera like that, it doesn't do any shadow. They have different characteristics of the other ones that I found. And this over here, you didn't saw this on my movies, but this is the biggest spine of sea urchin that I found until today. I managed to bring this home, but in the contact with the other fossils, I don't know if it was like that. It cracked and I have to glue this, and it was just like that in here because it was drying a little bit. So I have this horn corals. I have a lot of horn corals. I have this other one that is a ladder coral. This other one, it was pretty hard to bring home also because I was very far from my house, and again this is pretty heavy to bring this in my backpack. And the day after I don't know how I managed to pass this time without so many pains in my back. So these other ones that are in here, in the beginning I thought that this might be a tooth of dinosaur, but it's not a tooth of dinosaur. This is what they call rudist coral. Rudist, I read something because the person who found this fossil say, wow, what rudist, root form, root shape. Well, and the name rudist picked up. And so this is the inner mold of the rudist. It's some sort of a coral, so it almost looks like a tooth, but it's not. So just for you guys, this is another bit. I believe this was the first one that I found, the first bit. I thought that, oh, this might be a dinosaur tooth. No, it's not. So this other bit also over here, it almost looks like some piece of a bone, but it's also a coral. I don't know what species. This was one of my earliest ones, so it's still in here. So I'm going to pass to the other shelves that I have in here, and I'm going to the top, to the bottom of all. So I have some gastropods in here. They are a little bit hidden away from the eyes, because they are not so beautiful like the other ones that I found. This was found recently on my movie. This other one looks, it's pretty awesome, but on this side I think this might be buried like that, and this part was eroded and it was cut, so the gastropod by itself, it's cut. I have another example over there, and when I found it, it looks okay, it looks super, but keep in mind, when the fossil and the rock is wet, the definition appears with greater detail, but when it dries up, well, the fossil tends to, well, you probably, I guess, it doesn't look as cool as when I found it. This was in some sort of a barrier. I don't know the specific name in English. It was in some sort of a slope of a hill, and just a little bit was showing off, and I started to excavate, and I got lucky. And well, you must think that, well, every time that I found a fossil, every time I excavate I find a fossil. It's not like that. These are many hours, many years of investigation and hiking along this path. So, well, passing to these other ones that I have here, I have some example of pinna, but these other ones are pretty broken into tiny bits. I have some nautiloids. These are pretty uncommon and rare in here, so I guess this other one I have a video when I found this other one that is in here. And this was probably the first nautiloid that I found. In the beginning I thought that this was an ammonite, but it's not, it's a nautiloid. So I did something real stupid. I tried to cut it in half to see the inner chambers of the spirals, and when I cut it in half I noticed that this is not an ammonite. See, because this was the living chamber, and these bits over here of the spiral, well, they have no crystals, and some of them, I guess the organism might have died because this was crashed or cracked. So pretty awful inside of this nautiloid. And I found this under a large rock that I removed. This was one of the earliest ones. This that are in here. Oh, this was one that was found more recently, but this has some piece of shell attached to it. I have a video of that. So pretty cool to find one of this. I don't know how many years must this have been in there, but pretty awesome. A nautiloid in the middle of the field. Okay, let me put it in there. Okay, now we are heading to the, let me put some light in here because you are not seeing this properly. Sorry guys. Now it's cool. Okay, now now you have plenty of light. So I have some example of siphonodendron in here. It's kind of where the place where the Nemo hides itself. So I have some pieces of corals in here that I'm not sure what the species are. So, and I'm pretty lazy because I didn't label everything that I have. I'm just focusing on finding more. These were found recently in my latest movies. So we have here some sea urchins. As you can see, I put the large ones over here, the bigger ones in here, and the smaller ones in the back. So I have this Pectin maximus. This was I believe this was the biggest of challenge that I have bring this home, because it's way heavy and it's a large rock, and I was without my car and it was very difficult to bring this home. So this is another piece of Pectin, and that other one that are in there is also a piece of Pectin, but it's not a Pectin maximus, I believe it's a Pectin benedictus. Nothing to it, but if you turn this upside down you can see a gastropod in there, so it's pretty neat. It's a fossil of a Pectin with a gastropod. Oh, pretty cool. So okay, these are some spines of sea urchin. I have a lot of them outside in my backyard. I will show you the pieces of fossils that I have scattered around in my backyard, because I cannot have every one of them in here and they are not as great as these ones. So I have some another micrasters, sea urchins, and I have that other one over there that you already saw this on one of my movies. I found this near a dump site where they put some ground that came from near the Tagus River, and I found this and it was pretty awesome. I don't know where this came from, but I believe with the passing of the years it's starting to disintegrate, so it's pretty shame. I don't know what else can I do. I believe the next step will be varnish this, or else it's going to be gone forever, and I don't want that, so let me put it in there. So so these are some of my sea urchins, echinoids, and I have some trigornias here, some nice trigornias, just the mold sits by itself. This is just an inner mold, I guess. Well, in the beginnings I didn't found this a lot, so for me it's pretty awesome, I found a trigornia, but now it's more or less common. It's still cool, but more or less common. So we are heading to the shelf of the Ammonites. So the Ammonites, the elusive Ammonites for me, well, the other one that are in here, it was a friend from England that gave me that one that I have in here. It wasn't found by me. So these other ones are the razor Ammonites that I still don't find any of these complete, because they are very thin, as you can see. It almost looks like a blade, and sometimes I just found some pieces. I cannot seem to find any one of these complete, so it's very difficult just to find this piece over here. So one of these days I might found one complete, but as you can see, it has some nice lines over here, and it's very sharp, so it's very fragile, and with the time I guess it's quite impossible to find one of these completes in the rocks where I normally search. So over there we have more pieces of ammonites, so razor ammonites. This is another piece. So, and I have what I think is a piece of a belemnite. So this might be just a rock, I don't know. Funny rock, because it almost looks like a belemnite, but not sure. I don't know what this tooth is doing over here, but it's not a fossil. So I found this in a movie, so it's not from here. So continuing with my fossils. This is an exemplar of ficus species. Let me see if the camera does a proper focus. Okay. As you can see, it has some lines that cross the main lines. So let me see if like that you can see. It almost looks like a crisscross pattern, and this was inside of a large boulder that have plenty of fossils, and I took some time to see what else might reside in that, and this other one was in there, so pretty awesome. So this is in there in my collection. Okay, let me see the focus. Okay, now this other one that I have in here are mainly cuculeas, so I found this quite a lot. Some of them are really interesting because they have a shape of an heart. but they are a shell, and some of them might have a little hole in here. I don't know if this fell off or if it is like that, but some of them have that feature. I don't know if I can seem to find. Well, this other one don't have that hole, but it has this mohawk look, so pretty cool. These all belong of the same species, except this other one over here. This other one is a Cuculea gigantea, so I guess this is not the same that I have in here, so this is pretty nice. And this other one, it's also I guess more or less the same species. We have so many species of bivalves, sometimes I am in trouble just to find. Oh, see, this other one has this hole also. I don't know if this is a characteristic or if it's part of the shell that tends to fall off during the process of fossilization. Sorry guys, sometimes the words are difficult for me to speak. So these bits over here are bits of crinoid. I didn't found this. They were given by a friend that lives in, I believe, in New York. So pretty cool. I didn't have any crinoids in my collection, and he kindly sent me these bits over here. So I have a lot of them inside of this tube over here because they are so small, and I put them inside of this tube. So this shelf over here is the shelf of the turritellas. So we have a lot of turritellas. We have this container over here where I put some of them because there were so many and I was running out of space, so I have to put them over there. So these are the best ones and the bigger ones that I have. I have that slab over there that is filled. Let me see if I can. Okay, it's full of turritellas, and well, this other one fell off. This should be like that. Okay, I have to compose a little bit of this. Okay, these are the turritellas, and this I don't remember the name, but first time that I saw this I don't comprehend what this was. I just found this like that, so it kind of resembles, I don't know, something, an hypnotic shell, but I didn't know what this is. So after searching and searching, I found this, and they belong to this shell. It almost looks like a spirifier, but it's not. It's just a shell, and you can see the pattern over here. So I guess the shell was cut in half, and I only see some section of the inside. Whoa, some section of the inside, like that. So probably in the future I will find more, but no. So as I was saying, we have a lot of different species of turritellas. I know that there are hundreds of species of turritellas, so I guess I am a bit lazy not to label everything, but well, if I do this, if I label that, I don't have time to find any fossils. So this shelf over here, we have a little gastropods, a little bivalves, some unclassified stuff like this fellow over here, that I guess it's a kind of a gastropod with another gastropod, and this is the smallest gastropod that I ever found. So I don't know if the camera is going to do. Okay, it's over there. So this is my finger, so you can see the ratio of the size. So I have smaller fingers, just for you to notice. So these are some smaller gastropods that I have, and in the top shelf we have some isognomons. No, well, now I forgot the name. Oh my god, I forgot the name of these other ones. Well, I will remember the names. So these are nuculanus, and this other one is an exogyra, and it's a funny shell because it almost looks like a fingerprint reader. You put your thumb here and your shell opens.
pretty stupid thing to say, but it almost looks like that. So okay, we have in there, we have some more exogyres, more oyster-like shells. These are more nucleanus. And in the top shell we have some isognomons, more recently found in my videos. And we have this Trigornia lusitania that you can see here. So these are the most beautiful specimens that I found, which are complete, and they have the top, this bit over here, also intact. So it's pretty unusual and hard to find one complete, at least for me. So I put this over here, these two over here, and we have over there is a shark tooth inside of a matrix of a rock. This was found by my brother and he gave it to me on one of Sintra's, on one of the beaches that are near Sintra. So that is another one that wasn't found by me. So we have kind of dispersed over, dispersed fossils over here. Not they have much history like that. So guys, for now, oh sorry guys, I just want to talk about this over here. These are some scattered fossils that I am in the process of sorting out. So this other one, I still don't have room for this, and this, I think it's a pretty old shell. I don't know how many time, how many years it must have passed, because it was next to the highway. So I have a couple of them in here that are sort of unclassified fossils. I have this exemplar of Isognomon, and I have these shells over here that I don't know the name, and you can see still see some barnacles attached to this side, so pretty cool. So these are the bits that are still in here in the process of being my collection or not. So guys, I hope you like this guided tour to my collection. If you like the video, don't forget to put a like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next movie. Bye.